And I think as a country which is suffering with the highest number of diabetics, I think Indian consumers are moving away from unhealthy fats and moving towards healthier fats. I think what Amul has done is fantastic. There are so many dairy brands in the country, and obviously Amul is the leader. But for them to take a step like this means that everyone will. The minute they do, guess what? They are building out a market.
What did it take from you to convince the investors that this is not just a fad?
I don't know if you know, this was my ex-boss where I used to work. So I was fortunate to have a boss who, when I told him, listen, I'm leaving to start Sackable, he was like, listen, don't leave. You start Sackable. I'll be your first investor. You keep work out of my office for 1 year. Don't pay rent. My second employee's father became my investor.
How should he build a never die brand?
Your product has to survive. Your brand has to survive. So what will you do when the trend dies? So don't ride on a wave. Get into something which is evergreen. You can't build a brand until
He said it very hard to crack a kickoff entry. How should that entrepreneur look at, or how should we crack that? How should he get entry in work?
so upper weight pipe, I think you just have to, the one word I would use is harassment. Okay. You need to harass those category guys, get numbers from someone without meaning that person is telling you the number, otherwise they'll be in the topic. Keep calling them, keep WhatsApping them, drop by to their office, right? Stop them. I hope this doesn't become a crip and reach my category guys. But stop them on LinkedIn, figure out where they are, what they are doing, customize. Because today that's what it's come to. I mean, or you go to them and tell them, listen, I'm giving you 50 lakhs as a marketing budget. I know brands who have done that in the recent months.
They are the starting point that founder would not have, but still.
Exactly. So for a Somnath, I would recommend you figure out a way to build a rapport with them. Land up, find one of the underdogs, okay? Big basket in this case.
Or Flipkart Medic era, yeah, Flipkart Minutes, and then another like, someone he said right now, some other.
There are a couple of new
Quick commerce companies which are, it is for that.
and see now what quick commerce is doing is focusing on niche, right? So the one I think you might be referring to is focused only on super premium products. So they want to cater to that 1% of India, right? So that could be one option, right? Get it. But then for them to achieve scale will take time. Today, BigBasket has 500 dark stores. They are doubling down on that.
Correct.
Right. So I would suggest go from one of the big guys, whoever it might be. I was just doing BigBasket as an example.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoever is ready to listen to you, right? It doesn't matter which channel you get in, you will get scale if you have a good product. Q-commerce today is poised to only grow further. We know it's going to hit a wall at some point. We don't know when it is or how it will happen. But today, it's probably the most lucrative avenue because of the barriers being higher to entry. You are always not going to face too much competition. Unlike Amazon, where discovery is so difficult, right? Amazon, where product डालोगे, I mean, I don't even know how many SKUs there are.
Too many sellers, there are so many SKUs.
Yeah. And then there is that undercut. One guy realizes, अच्छा इसका product चल रहा है, चलो launch China made product at 10 rupees lesser, right? And take a market share. So maybe F&B not so much, but you know what I mean, right? Amazon is definitely a good avenue. I would recommend that as a second because it's fully democratized. You don't need to do anything, no barriers to entry. Get a good packaging, get good images, get good A+ content, make a brand page, maybe partner with Amazon Launchpad, right? So again, to be very honest, Devansh, it's a lot about the nuances, right? So it's easy for me to say all this, but it all depends what he's launching, what category he's getting into. Beverage, for example, will be very different from food.
Got it.
Though it's they are part of the same ecosystem. And what I would also do is supplement that 1 or 2 channels like Amazon, Flipkart, and say a FK Minutes or a BigBasket with some one EG you take. Okay. For example, we are sitting in a co-working space. Let's take co-working space, right? Just take one TG. You feel, acha, co-working space is my right audience. Let's take snacks as a category, right? Co-working space has a lot of people who come in, work, right? Typically, co-working spaces are in busy business areas like this, right? They want something to eat, right? So somehow get your listing there, okay? And start expanding that. Not outside co-working, just co. If you're doing that's work, B work, smart work, जो भी work है, इसमें डाल दो product. So then your brands are getting recognized. Because someone who working in one co-working space or someone who's working, हाँ मैंने तो वो snackables देखा था, चलो try करते हैं उसका करा. And then they see you on Big Basket, they'll buy up. Right? So I think offline presence also to build a brand is very visibility, exactly. Otherwise, if your brand recall is not there, credibility becomes an issue. Then I would supplement that with a very strong social strategy where you become your own brand's ambassador. Because obviously I'm assuming Somnath has limited budgets. So you start.
Because he himself becomes the influencer.
Yeah.
Knowing so many.
Yeah, I mean, let's say, I mean, however tough it is, you know, camera is not easy for everyone, right? But I feel that's the most, I mean, I would say it's the most potent method that a founder has to basically reach the audience at a very low cost, right?
Absolutely. Hi everyone. A quick shout out to our amazing sponsors and partners who make this show Level Up possible. First up, No Filtered Juice, which is your daily dose of pure, unfiltered goodness with 100% real fruit juice, zero added sugar, no preservatives, and no artificial concentrates. Every sip is packed with authentic flavor and nutrients. Plus, it's served in a eco-friendly glass bottles. Good for you and good for the planet. Starting at just rupees 159. No filter is the healthiest way to fuel your day. Click on this link below to purchase your bottle now. Our second sponsor is Titus Footwear. It is a brand built on legacy, quality, and innovation. From sturdy work boots to stylish sandals and cozy slippers, Titus has something for everyone in the family. Especially if you are a child going to school, this is a brand known for its footwear for school children. Affordable, durable, and always in style. Titus lets you walk with confidence starting at just rupees 299. Click on the link below to purchase your shoes now. I would like to thank our growth partner Growth OS and our venue partner Let's Work. How should he build a never die brand?
See, again, never die is a very, big term to use in F&B, right? But I think enter a category which is evergreen, right? Don't enter a category which is running on trends, right? Mm. Because trends will die, right? And your product has to survive, your brand has to survive. So what will you do when the trend dies? So don't ride on a wave, right? Get into something which is evergreen, right? For us, for example, khakra is an evergreen product, which only going to grow as a market. It's always going to be there. People are not going to stop hiring. Whereas newer categories like your Dubai chocolate, which is going viral, is a trend-based product. That doesn't mean you can't build a brand on it. But will you be able to sustain when that trend dies out? Is the question. You will be on to establish.
If we were to make a small brand out of it, will it become a proper company, a big business? That is questionable.
Exactly. And second thing is, I think stick to your principles, right? See, all of us have been through pivots. Every founder goes through those pivots. You change your business model from X to Y. We in fact started with a subscription model today. We are a QCOM first brand, right? But I think your brand principles cannot be compromised. Alright. So tomorrow, if I start selling unhealthy snacks, right, I'm compromising on my principles, and customer somewhere will see through that. And somewhere your retention rates will go down, your loyalty will go down, and your ability to build a everlasting brand will become more difficult.
Got it. As a new founder, what difficulties would one face in today's time while navigating offline and online distribution channels for FMCG brand?
Yeah. So starting with offline, I think today, while there are a lot of companies who are coming, who are trying to democratize distribution, if you take grocery as a segment, right, 81% roughly is unorganized, which means it's your kirana stores. Around 15% or is modern trade, it is your supermarket chains, your Reliance and around 5% is your online marketplaces and QCOM. Okay. So cracking GT, general trade, is the holy grail, right? Most snap brands today you see, their dominating share of revenue, 80% and above jumps from GT, right? So what I would do is in but cracking GT is very difficult because it's a very traditional model. Today, while there are companies who come in who are trying to democratize distribution, it's not very easily happen. Absolutely right. So I would suggest stay away from GT as long as possible. It's a black hole. Okay. Once you get in, you are giving stock to your distributors, you are hiring sales guys. Without sales guys, it's very difficult to do the market, right? Run the market. Your economics will not set it, right? Unless you, on day one, like great example is Lowry Jeera, right? 10 rupee product, right? If you get into a price point like that and find a white space and your product clicks, but that's like to be very honest, very rare does. Yeah, it's an outlier. You can't rely on an outlier when you're starting a brand, right? You have to, it's not a, a casino.
Correct. So, do you think in a GT model, you know, lesser valued or lesser price products work more than probably, little more premium or an affordable premium product would work?
Yeah, by default, or lower the price, the higher is the chance of your product becoming scalable. Purely because the spread of consumer base that walks into a GT store is extremely diverse, right? So by default, most of the customers will be mass market. If you're trying to sell a premium product in to a mass market audience, it's not going to work, right? So that is the biggest topic. Now, GT general trade also has 4 categories, right? I mean, roughly 4 categories. There's your A plus and A stores, which is like a premium stores which have AC, right? You can walk in. There'll be enough space to, maybe they might have aisles. Like in Bangalore, Pune, they'll have aisles. Bombay में तो real estate में जगह ही नहीं है. तो second is your B category stores, which is your typical, there won't be AC, but you can walk in. There'll be a single alley. You can go tell that guy, acha mujhe ye chahiye. Right. And there's your C category store, which will be like a hole in the wall metaverse store. D is your pan bidi cold drink dukan. Okay. So A plus is great to target, but problem is A plus is a very small ecosystem. Because city like Bombay, I can literally say it's on more at Pamati 200 stores. So for a young brand, firstly cracking those 150, 200 stores because they know that they are in a minority. So now and they know a lot of brands are coming up. So what they'll do is they'll be like, हाँ मुझे इतना listing दे दो. They are started doing, the typical trade methods that which are deployed by modern trade. They are started deploying them. So is it listing fees दो, per SKU इतना charge होगा, इतना margin होगा. They take 35 to 40% margin. So now getting into GT, even if you just target A plus, firstly from those 150 to 200 stores, maybe you get into 20-25% of the stores, right? Will you be able to build sizable business through that with the costs associated with it? I think it's difficult. So what I would do is, if you definitely want to do offline, do moderate trade. Yes, it's definitely an expensive channel to get into, but you get visibility with the right audience.
On modern trade, you should only do if you are into affordable premium or premium product.
Yeah,
So it depends on the product category and the pricing.
definitely, because modern trade again is geared towards mass premium.
Yes, fast pick.
Right? So now if you're premium, you will be able to do a handful of stores, right? Like Reliance has Fresh Pick, which is a premium range for stores. Then they have Signature, which is mass premium. Now, Fresh Pick, they have a total of, I think, 4 stores. Think about it. In India, they're expanding it, but 4 stores. Whereas Signature, they'll have, I think, around 300, 400 stores. So I think if you're in premium, a mass premium, modern trade makes sense. Right.
Correct. There is something like this, right? There's juice which is there. Yeah, no filter. So this is like little more Vasudhimya product.
Correct.
Right? With, again, healthy juice and no sugar and 100% fruit juice action here.
Right.
But this would go more in like a modern trade.
Well, so the anyway. Just looking at the packaging,
Yes.
what is the price point?
159 for this bottle, right? How much ml? For 350 ml, 110. That would be modern trade. Correct. And if you are to introduce into GT for a massive adoption, and of course you have to change the packaging or make it a little smaller bottle and stuff like that. Get a smaller device or
Auto is glass. And yeah, with some other technology, bottling technology like
correct.
a Tetra Pak or whatever it might be.
Okay. Any challenges in the online space? How can a new age consumer brand crack their online distribution?
Yeah, so there are 3 ways, right? So one is Amazon. Okay, It's the most democratized platform. You can get listed very easily. There will be resellers. Resellers are like Archibald, ARIBL, Amazon has their own FODA, right? Uh, I would find them to be a bit hesitant to start with to take a young brand unless you show some volumes. So maybe start out on your own, right? Listing your product, keep some good gross margins because Amazon is expensive, right? To acquire customers as well. Start doing some keyword-based ads. Keep your ACOS, which is Amazon cost of sales, below 25 to 30% to start with. And they start getting some decent traction there and eventually use a reseller to make your product as quickly available as possible. The reason why RK World or ARIPL are efficient is because they have 27 warehouses across the country. So that Amazon Prime next day delivery is very critical. Otherwise, the minute you don't have next day delivery, your conversion rate reduces significantly. Your CAC increases significantly, right? So having that NDD is very important. And for that, you'll have to work with a reseller. For that, you'll have to demonstrate that you have volumes, right? Or at least a decent amount of volumes, or give them slightly higher margins. So you start out on your own, list yourself, make your warehouse your seller center pickup point, right? Your Amazon Easy Ship pickup point. They come pick it up and they manage the rest, right? The second is, so that's how you would do Amazon. Second is QCOM. I explained QCOM earlier.
Correct.
Barriers to entry very high. Pick one channel, double down on that channel, see where it takes you, and then start expanding to others. Use exclusivity as a method. Use consistent and persistent follow-ups as a method to get in. Okay. Third comes your website. While I'm a true believer in the website, it's a great way to build a brand. I think what you need to get people on your website is it all comes down to your product. Some products can scale up on the website. Food is very difficult to scale on the website today because algorithm-wise, the way Meta algorithm has evolved, getting people to your website, your CACs have become more and more pressured, and people are hesitant to go to the website. The biggest problem is the consumption behavior. Because of quick commerce, all our behaviors of the TG has dramatically changed. I mean, going to a website and waiting for 3 days to 4 days on average to get your order is unheard of. Like, just to give you an example, on Snackable's website, in the peak of COVID, about 78 to 80% of my sales were coming from tier 1 cities. Now, around 60 to 65% of my sales in a month come from tier 2, tier 3 and below. Okay. So my tier 1 business has gone down to 35%, right? And it's purely because of quick commerce. That all are shifted to quick commerce. And all your customers, they'd order once. Once ke liye it's great. Discovery ke liye it's a beautiful platform because you get to show your entire portfolio. You get to show these amazing ads which attracts them, right? Video ads on reels and all of that. They click on it, they come there, chal ek baar order kar dete, discount chal raha hai, right? They order. They love the products. They go to QCOM and buy it, right? So when we call customers, a good section of our customers, hey, why aren't you coming back? They were like, nahi, yeah, just still buying a product on Zepto, right? So,
I always thought this was other way around because any consumer brand that we have worked with, it has always been that QCOM has been that discovery platform, and then the consumer has moved to the website to purchase because there they get more options. On QCOM, they would get just 2 SKUs, 3 SKUs, how much ever down the shelf, right? But majority options when they purchase from QCOM, maybe the packaging, maybe in the stuff it's mentioned about the brand. They research, they will go on the website, and then they will see variety of products and SKUs available. From where they buy. So I've always understood this perspective. I mean, the perspective that you shared is something new that I have learned today. No,
so it is some. So see, at a early stage, maybe that applies. Depends again on the product category. But I won't agree with that. I think today, people are ready to sacrifice on variety for convenience. That's where QCOM has made its mark, right? I mean, today, if I'm getting Nature's Basket offers me 5 types of Parmesan cheese, I'm okay with that one Parmesan cheese, which is available on, let's say, Swiggy Instamart, right? Because it fulfills my purpose and I don't want to drive down to a Nature's Basket. The same applies to website, right? I think it depends again on how much you have, right? What's your spread on QCOM? Now, I completely agree. If you have only 2 or 3 SKUs, whereas your website has 50, it's a different story, right? But then you have a bigger problem to solve because then you need to get your SKU count after you. Then you have to do that. For us, I would say about 20% of our portfolio is listed on QCOM and they are typically our top sellers. So what we see is a lot of our consumers moving to QCOM and then they come back to us for gifting, right? So when they're gifting someone in Diwali, they'll call you out.
A little bigger. Okay. All right. Got it. Could you break, the three biggest myths for an entrepreneur who's entering into consumer space?
So first, I would say is the myth that you need a truckload of capital to start, right? I think today there are enough avenues where you can bootstrap and start your business. It's definitely going to be more difficult. Okay, no denying that, but it is possible. Okay. Another myth is you can't build a brand until you burn money, right? You have to be loss making for the first 5 years. I think that is also changed. Maybe in the starting it was different, but now there are brands I know who are literally profitable from day one and they have never needed to raise. Even if they did raise money, it was for capex. And
I think quite a few have come on in Shark Tank. We are profitable at EBITDA level also, not just CM.
let's build out your economics. You will have to be a little premium. You have to have very rich margins, but it is possible, right? If you target a niche, right? And third myth will be, I think, the fact that, you know, I mean, there's also this fundamental thinking that unless I have a specialized team under me, I can't run this business because it requires. I think an entrepreneur can bear all the hats, right? Starting, you can crack your QCOM partner, you can both close your retail chain, right? Whatever it might be, I think you can do it. So it's not like, until I have a big team of 8 to 10 people, I can't run the consumer brands.
Correct.
Okay. So I think I would say these three are myths. Again, top of my head, whatever is coming.
No, fair. I think they are very valid because I feel the myth that you mentioned about funding and if you don't have a huge capital, I think that is something that we face on a regular basis. Any brand that comes to us or a startup, consumer startup, you're a non-consumer, but let's say consumer for this sake, and they're like, we can't really build this more than what we have already achieved without capital, and that more is what just doing for only 50,000 rupees per month, 1 lakh rupee per month. I'm like, it's not about capital. It is about how much are you putting in, even in terms of your efficiency, in terms of your efforts. What is the product? Have you seen the customer feedback? Have you seen the reviews, etc.? Right. Not just the capital. Of course, capital does play a part, but it is not just the capital that if there is, less capital, you'll not be able to scale it up. So I think that is changing. Earlier it was, yes, you needed some more capital. So the market was evolving at that point in time. But now I think the audience is mature enough and people are more aware or they have more information that they can purchase this if, and there is nothing ultra unique that is happening. Probably what you did in 2015 was very unique. Yeah. Abhi wo nahi. Right now, every other brand is doing something into health space or something or the other.
And when I started, Devansh, there were no channels on me. No chat. See, I was not able to establish channels other than offline. Today, you have QCOM, you have Amazon, you have so many channels, Eureka, B2B, where everyone wants healthy food, everyone wants premiumized options. Karo, you can literally, which we haven't discussed yet, but in the offline piece which we discussed, I think you can today build a business around B2B. I know brands who have started, a classic example is Viva. They are the most successful sauce brand in the country probably. Started with a focus on B2B and Horeca. They built the brand there and then went into retail. Right? So it depends which category you're in, obviously. But yes, I think B2B is very cash rich. If you work with the right partners, you can have a very good blended working capital mix. Right? And bottom line is rich. Yeah. So, there are a lot of avenues today because access and demand has changed, in the last 10 years. But that being said, if you enter a Me Too category, right? Like, chalo, you want to do makhana and you want to be very noble about it. I want to raise capital. I would say that would be a little more difficult because today that's an established category. You are entering as a Me Too brand. So the only way you can compete with them is to outspend them, right? Maybe you can try some unique flavor or something, but it can only take you from A to B, right? 0 to 1. 1 to 10 will have to be through capital, unfortunately. So I would recommend Somnath or whoever is looking into this to always look for an opportunity to do incremental innovation. And what I mean by that, I'll just explain. One thing I've realized about India and food is that I don't even think it's only restricted to food. Indians are not very conducive to changing their consumption patterns, right? They don't want to change consumer behavior is very tough to change in India, right?
फिर चल रहा है वो जहाँ जाता
So I think in India, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Okay, just do incremental innovation. For example, take a category which is already large but say unorganized, right? And organize it. Put a brand to it. Put a high quality product, standardize it, innovate on flavors. That's where I think scale lies in India, especially in the food space. And you see a lot of examples of brands who have succeeded have practically done that. But let's take a very good resilient brand, Cornitos, right? I think, I don't know him personally, but I think Vikram has done a brilliant job building it out, right? He was the first guy to launch nachos in the country. Took almost 10 or 12 years, I think. Again, I may not be completely accurate, but I've studied them in the market. 10 or 12 years to establish the category because Indians were just not used to eating nachos. So if you have that kind of patience, you have that kind of capital to deploy, go for it, right? But 10 or 12 years for a startup is insane, right? So, yeah, again, building categories takes time, yeah.
Well, you've been in the market for 10 plus years now. You've seen the consumer preference evolve in the healthy snacking category, right? Was there any inflection point that led to this? Because now it's become pretty huge. Yeah, it's there. Like now you can call this as a mainstream category.
So I would say the inflection point was COVID, right? I think uh, healthy food became the need of the hour. Okay. And that's when things started changing. When I think we are put in a position where we don't have a choice, we start adopting things which will, uh, or help us, right? Or aid us. In that time, everyone was worried about what food was coming to their house, what quality it was, what nutrition it was adding to their, to their body. So I think the Indian consumer became very conscious. That started making them a little more aware, right? For what to have, what not to have, right? There were obviously a lot of things floating around were myths also at that point of time. But slowly, gradually, a lot of statistical data started coming out, right? Or what actually works for and what doesn't. And the beauty about knowledge, okay, is that once you gain knowledge, it's very tough to let it go.
Let it go, right? Well, then you have to take action on that, not it.
Exactly. So the advantage I think that the Indian consumer had is in that COVID period, they gained so much knowledge about health just and we were obviously in a very different world, right? Thanks to the likes of Instagram and everything was very accessible. We were all stuck in our homes on our Instagram feed or Facebook feed. So we got access to a lot of information. And that information changed the like I remember in peak of COVID talking to investors, they were like, "Arey, but I know you're getting a lot of hype right now. But COVID ke baad, people will go back to their original eating habits. They have been, in fact, consumers evolved even further. I think post-COVID, the consumer mindset has dramatically changed even further, right? Today, they have become conscious about what oils they consume, what calories they're taking in, what protein content is there, what macros are there, right? So, I would almost go as far as to say, Devansh, that we are probably more health conscious in our choices, at least India one, okay, the top 100 million people, more health conscious in our choices than, the West.
Correct.
Because I was seeing one of the leading, I would say, energy bar brands in the US. Okay, but dry fruit, I can name them also, Kind Bar. Uh, they call themselves a clean label energy bar brand and they use palm oil, right? So, I mean, in the States, they get away with a lot of things, right? And they put a lot of, like a typical packaged food in the States, the ingredients that they have compared to the ingredients in India, dramatic difference. Obviously, there are counterparts also. Food farmer would maybe disagree with the I like it because India obviously has certain other issues. The issues you put lesser cocoa in chocolates and put more sugar to make products cheaper. But I think in the products which are catering to the premium audience, to that India one audience who's actually health conscious, I think they're doing a far better job than they are.
Well, interesting. You mentioned about talking to investors during COVID, but I think you had raised your round in 2015-16 also.
Yeah.
Right? At that point in time, since this category was very, very new, right? People, didn't really know about it, these snacks.
Yeah.
What did it take from you to convince the investors that this is not just a fad?
Right. So actually, my first investor, I don't know if you know this, was my ex-boss. where I used to work. So I was fortunate to have a boss who, when I told him, listen, I'm leaving to start Sackable, he was like, listen, don't leave. You start Sackable, I'll be your first investor. You keep work out of my office for 1 year. Don't pay rent. Right? He was my first investor. Thanks to that, I had a lot of validation in the market that, okay, my ex-boss is backing me. Kuch to hoga, right? Secondly, I think that time angel investment community was a very different community, right? That time they would go not on too much analytics and numbers. They would go more on gut instinct, right?
Relationship and
And data was not there. Data was
you're a professional angel investor. It was just I have a relationship with you. I like you to.
friend. Yeah. So I got a lot of those. I got professional angel investors also who had invested in the past in larger startups, which had by then become larger startups. But again, they go based on अच्छा ये category बड़ा हो सकता है. चलो, let's take a calculated bet on the founder. So it was very founder driven investments, right? Yeah, I was fortunate. One of my second employee's father became my investor, right? So most of our early stage investors came through references. They just liked what we were doing. One of my clients became my investor, one of my customers.
That's the best
Yeah,
testimonial that
yeah, exactly. So clearly, these were people with a lot of foresight who realized that this space can become big. So I was lucky to get exposed to them. They were lucky to, meet us at the right time, and it worked out for both of us, right? Yeah, that's how we typically went about it. But no doubt, it was very difficult and to convince them that this space is going to become big. There was always doubts around that, right? That will it become as big as we imagine it to be, right?
What are the longest time you took to convince any investor to invest?
I will have to go back and check, but probably maybe 5 or 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty. But it doesn't work like that, right? So what happens? I'll do a introductory meeting. Then he'll be like, no, let me, think about it. Then we'll meet in a couple of weeks. Then we'll stay in touch. He'll come across a product somewhere. He'll be like, oh, I saw this product here. I'll use it as an icebreaker. Let's meet again. वैसे करके कोई बार लग जाता है time, but they come through.
Got it. What are the top 3 trends that you're seeing currently in the healthy F&B space, which you feel that could be the future of this industry? So, which you may or may not be doing right now, but yeah.
So I think one fundamental trend which will never die, it's an evergreen trend, is if you Google what is the most popular diet in the world, right? It's called calorie deficit diet. We call it different things, right? But calorie deficit is basically your body burns X amount of calories a day. If you are under that calorie count in consuming food and beverages, you are going to lose weight or maintain your weight, right? Okay. It's based on the law of thermodynamics. Okay. So it's a very factual way of losing weight. It's a very black and white way of losing weight. And in the health food space, I think if you are building a product to be able to market yourself as fitting into that 1800 to 2000 calories a person is consuming comfortably is a great pitch, right, to the Indian consumer. Correct. So I think that's going to be a trend which is always going to remain. Outside of that, I think the biggest trend in India, I would say, is people have started realizing how bad palm oil is, right? I think larger FMCG companies have been using it because it's the most efficient oil. It gives you an amazing shelf life, okay? So you can export very easily. It's used to be the cheapest oil. Now it's no longer cheapest oil. So because of the import duties that the government has put. But people are continuing to use it. So I think Indian consumers are moving away from unhealthy fats and moving towards healthier fats. And I think as a country which is suffering with the highest number of diabetics and probably one of the top 3 cardiovascular affected populations in the world, I think changing the pack is a great step towards healthier living, right? So that is one thing. Another movement I think which is happening is moving to natural sources of sugar, right? Or eliminating sugar, right, from our diet. I think as Indians, they are so used to our mithai and sweets, and most families even today it's like a tradition, after dinner to have something sweet. People are now realizing that at least if we are indulging in that, let's indulge in something which is natural, something which will contain that blood sugar spike. People have started becoming very conscious about glucose and its effect in the body. And we need to, honestly, Evansh, because I mean, we are the diabetes capital of the world. If we don't start taking care of our, blood glucose levels and abuse our blood glucose and insulin, eventually it's going to lead to insulin resistance, pre-diabetes, and diabetes, right? So, essentially, I believe controlling sugar or using alternate sources of sugar is another trend, okay, which is becoming very prevalent. And the third is millets. I think this is the fourth point, fourth one, but millets. I think, and I'm so proud of this. This is my favorite one, right? I think we have had millets in our diet since maybe centuries.
Yeah.
Right? But it's a most efficient crop, right? In Rajasthan, for example, when I went for a market visit, reason they grow millets is because it consumes much lesser water, right? Because they are a desert essentially, right? So millets are so efficient for the soil, so efficient from a water consumption standpoint, so healthy in terms because they are complex carbs. The thing with complex carbs is they break down on your body slowly, right? So you don't have those extreme spikes in your blood sugar. They make you feel more satisfied. So you won't.
And your energy levels are high.
Exactly. That's why people say, at least in my childhood, I used to keep hearing it. If you have Chinese food or Asian food, you feel hungry in an hour, right? That's because they put Ajinomoto, MSG, basically. And MSG, the glycemic index of MSG is, I think, around 140 or something, right? So, whereas refined sugar is 65.
Wow.
Okay. So essentially what MSG does is it spikes your blood glucose so high that you start feeling hungry, right? It's a never ending cycle. So essentially I think millets are a great addition to everyone's diet, and it's a trend which people have realized they're started incorporating it in small ways everywhere, right? So yeah.
Talking about this legacy brands, there's been a lot of chatter around these legacy brands using palm oil and their trans fats and increasing sugar levels, etc. There was this one post by Trisha Vaidya, Zarjun Vaidya, yeah, wife, and she mentioned about Amul launching the protein range of milk. So you can read this post, and I've seen. Give your thoughts on this. So basically, that even legacy brands are moving towards healthy.
Yeah, I think Amul is a brilliant example. I think uh, right time and right product. They, right, dairy industry makes tons of whey protein as a byproduct. Right. What I think Amul has done very smartly at the right time is start building our products with that, right? Their protein lassi, protein buttermilk, because India, we have the highest vegetarian population in the world probably, right? And the problem is a vegetarian diet, people have started to realize if you don't supplement with protein, it ends up being a little protein deficient.
Correct.
Okay. There are studies proving that protein is one of the most important macros in your body, okay, from a longevity standpoint, right? So I think more and more people are started realizing to incorporate protein. Before, protein had this perception that someone who's a hardcore, the weightlifter or gym bro is one who has protein shakes or supplements their body with protein. You don't need. But being a vegetarian, I mean, the only source of protein I was exposed to was milk and dal. And dal is not a sufficient, it's a carb. Yeah. Right. So, so essentially, I think Amul has clearly picked up on this and started working on this because definitely there's a demand for protein-based products. Even at our end, we have started working on the savory side, building products which are supplemented with protein, fortified with protein, but savory snacks, right? So
Nice.
so yeah, I think it's definitely a
I'll raise a good step by a legacy brand to move towards these new age healthy products, which would eventually, because their also target audience would be evolving. It's not going to be the same, right? There are people who are going to, the youth is purchasing from Apple, so it might as well move towards the products that they are interested into or they are wanting to buy.
Agreed.
And which is good for their health.
Right. And so now there's your protein, paneer, protein lassi, everything. Like any dairy related product has been converted into, a protein heavy product to some fortification and processes. And that has, I think, really expanded the market. But I completely agree with you. I think what Amul has done is fantastic. There are so many dairy brands in the country, and obviously Amul is a leader. But for them to take a step like this means that everyone will, right? The minute they do, guess what? They are building out a market. Today, protein is expensive. That's the biggest problem. The reason why you have not had a very protein-rich diet is because it's always been expensive, right? Uh,
And all your protein shakes and your all protein, whey protein, all are imported.
predominantly, yeah. And 80%, I mean, of them are, uh, not trustable also, correct? You don't know what's going in there. So someone like Amul has a trust with the customer, right? Has a whey protein as a byproduct. They're using their own whey protein, obviously, and they have fortified it into very simple products, everyday products, which people can consume, right? And marketed them at a very affordable price. So I think it's a very interesting problem to solve. And it just builds a market for us.
Yeah, it builds a market for everyone. Yeah. That makes sense. All right. So, everyone is talking about supplements, tracking cold exposures while discussing this longevity part. Yeah. No one is really talking about food. Have you seen this blue zones thing? Yeah, right. At least, yeah, sure. Click show. So, if you can give your thoughts on that, what are the lessons that one can learn from that show?
So there are three core things, right? From what I can remember, I think very interesting patterns which that person has been showcasing in the show, right? In the documentary. One is they all follow a very similar diet, which is high on legumes. It's vegan dominant, and their source of protein is typically pulses and beans and the likes. They use olive oil, so the quality of fats they use is very high quality. When it comes to even the food that they consume, it's very heavy on things like fish, which are much lower in fat compared to, say, the other red meats, right? And it's termed now as a Mediterranean diet, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is a diet which has been formed from years of experimentation and turned out to be, I think, an outlier event that it worked out to be very healthy for them. Second is, I think, social community, which plays a very important role. They have, even the people who live above 100 there are very active. They are in these groups and they do activities together. They eat meals together, right? So social community is a very important part. And third is, I think they focus a lot more on fitness, right? Most of these towns, if you noticed, if you watched it, they have these slopes that people are walking up, right? Even at the age of 90 and 100, they are walking, right? So that by default increases their fitness levels. So I think it's a combination of a few factors coming together. While there is not enough research to prove that all those factors put together is the reason why these people are living over 100, are the highest 100 per centenarian, sorry. But it definitely has a lot of, uh, anecdotal evidence.
Okay. Got it. We move to the last segment of this podcast, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a few products, a few consumer food products, snacking products, and I want you to help the viewers understand the ingredients and how one should read the labels, right? What kind of ingredients should one be careful that okay, this is a harmful ingredient. In replacement of this, it should have been the other ingredient, right? So let's do that exercise sharp quick. Pull out a few products. Okay. Right.
So, the first thing I would
Read out the ingredients.
first thing I would say is that it has out of 56 grams of carbs, 51 grams is sugar. Oh, okay. So per 100 grams, 51% of this product is sugar, and best part is 40 grams of that is added sugar. Okay.
Means what?
So basically, see, carbs is broken down into two bits, right? One is fiber and sugar, essentially. Now, basically, out of the carbs being 56.5 grams, 51 grams is sugar. So there's practically no fiber, right? Rest of out of that 51 grams, 40 grams is sugar which they have added to the product, whereas about 10 grams will be naturally occurring sugar in the product ingredients that they have used. God, again, high on fat and saturated fat. 50% of the fat is saturated fat, which is bad, right? And even when you see the ingredients, the first ingredient is sugar. Second ingredient is palm oil. Okay. Third ingredient is skim milk powder. Then again there is palm oil. Okay. Uh, maida, right? And a lot of other things, all harmful ones. Yeah. So I mean there are three types of fat. Somewhere they use sunflower seed oil also. Okay, right? Then obviously a lot of uh, what do you call preservatives have also been used.
If you were to make a similar product, what kind of ingredients you would put?
So interestingly, we have a product which competes with, I wouldn't say the brand's name, competes with this product. It's called dipsters. Okay, we have a chocolate-based dip which is made with sunflower oil, made without refined sugar. So use jaggery to make it. It comes with biscuit sticks, resides. So it's priced lower than this product for a very similar grammage, catering to a very similar audience, parents who are buying it for the kids because it's healthier than this. So in fact, a lot of retailers have started putting our product next to this sub product, right? Because a very similar audience buys it, right? So yeah, I mean that's what I would do, right? Today there are so many ways, even sugar alternatives. Even if you take sugar alcohols, they are much healthier, like maltitol, for example, or though it has a slight glycemic index, it's proven to be safe. Maybe not for kids, or sugar alcohols are not recommended for pregnant people, but pregnant women, but overall, it's still better than having this amount of sugar, right? Keep it as natural as possible, I would say. The more natural, the better. But to be honest, it's better. Sugar alcohols are better than this kind of sugar, right? So, yeah.
Okay, let's go with this one.
So, see, mayonnaise is typically a high fat product. They have actually used soybean oil, okay, which is actually not as bad as palm oil. Okay, though soya is very genetically modified, so it's not the healthiest oil to use. But to be honest, it's better than palm oil. There it will always be high in fat because mayo is a high fat product. It's the entire formation of the product is high fat. They have used sugar and thickeners. Again, thickeners I wouldn't say is bad. They need to use it, emulsifiers, because it's actually packaged mayo. You can't get away with it. And typically, what happens with mayo is, though it's high fat, you end up using a teaspoon, right? We don't use more than a teaspoon on a slice of bread. Now, today, I'll tell you what I think of mayo, right? It's a very cheap fat. Okay, mayo you can get for 80 to 100 rupees a kilo if you buy in bulk. Butter you get for around 300 to 400 rupees a kilo or even higher. So it's a great way for a mass market audience to get access to a fat, right? When they're eating. Because without fat, food doesn't taste the same. You need a certain amount of fat. So I wouldn't say this is ad value product. I think, yes, there are some, regulatory issues with the kind of ingredients they have used, but I won't go into that too much. But outside of that, this is not as bad, I would say.
Okay, this one.
Yeah. So again, this is, uh, I just name the first ingredient itself is maida, right? So it's basically this is a pure maida product. And so the problem with maida again is that it's not a complex carb, right? It's a refined flour, right? It will spike your glucose. It will create digestive issues. Your gut health will get affected by it, right? So it is a product which is not preferable, okay, to have, right? It has, again, 75 grams is carbs, or 100 grams, so 75% is carbs. So the protein content is very low, right? The protein content, it's not even very visible. Yeah. It's not that bad. It's about 10 grams, but you don't have 100 grams of noodles, right? And yeah, it has about sugars, which are about, not that high, to be honest. It's a purely a maida product. Yeah. I mean, there are much healthier noodles available. Wicked Good is a great example. I think I've met him also. So I would go with that rather than go with something which is,
Yeah, his products are also very tasty.
yeah.
Check this juice out.
Yeah. Oh, this is a great product. I noticed it when I came in only. The beauty is the ingredients. It says 100, sorry, strawberry.
You can taste it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. It's really good. It's like, someone has taken a container full of strawberries and put it in a blender, mixed it and given it to you. It's that natural.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying this.
This was the best flavor.
Yeah, not just saying this because they are a sponsor brand, but I love the name also. Interestingly, filter, no filter. I think it has such a clean label name to it, and I think Juice mein there was at one time, I would say, Raw, which had done a brilliant job, but now unfortunately they have moved to the dark side as well, right? They are not a cold pressed juice. Then
Carrying on. The sale, I think they moved from their original all that stuff.
I still think they have a fantastic product, but I think this is way cleaner.
Yeah, that's true. Hi, everyone. A quick shout out to our amazing sponsors and partners who make this show Level Up possible. First up, No Filter Juice, which is your daily dose of pure, unfiltered goodness with 100% real fruit juice, zero added sugar, no preservatives, and no artificial concentrates. Every sip is packed with authentic flavor and nutrients. Plus, it's served in a eco-friendly glass bottles. Good for you and good for the planet. Starting at just rupees 159. No filter is the healthiest way to fuel your day. Click on this link below to purchase your bottle now. Our second sponsor is Titus Footwear. It is a brand built on legacy, quality, and innovation. From sturdy work boots to stylish sandals and cozy slippers, Titus has something for everyone in the family. Especially if you are a child going to school, this is a brand known for its footwear for school children. Affordable, durable, and always in style. Titus lets you walk with confidence starting at just rupees 299. Click on the link below to purchase your shoes now. I would like to thank our growth partner Growth OS and our venue partner Let's Work. All right, I think that was about it. Amazing chatting with you about this consumer F&B space. Such an interesting space, and it is building up really hot now. People are getting really interested into this space, healthy, food space, healthy snack space. I think you see so many, people from outside the investor community also, like, Shilpa Shetty has invested in Wicked Fruit, example. And there are so many people who are non-investors who are taking interest into this space also to get into healthy snack space or a healthy food space. So, I think this is something which is going to, of course, go a long way in India. And as we always say, we are at least 10, 15 years behind the West. And if people are built in the West in similar categories, I'm sure this is going to be like a huge, category for India in the coming years. So all the best with this. I think Lang is relating with you. Awesome, lovely understanding this business and this sector. And yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. It was great. Thank you.